and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Spiker Christensen. I can't do the quote. I don't know if Baghead or whatever his name is says anything. I don't think he says anything.
No.
He just pops on the screen, you know.
Dun.
Here's my best impression. Not as menacing, I'll admit. We've got Jordan Christensen.
Oh, I was gonna do the.
Oh, and he's coming out of the box.
Yeah, the kid coming out of the box.
Yeah.
And we got a special guest, Dorian, on the
Oh.
podcast.
Hey, everybody, how are you?
I
was gonna come in with like a really bad edited like bush, you know, and then like a picture of Mr. Boogie in the background that you could clearly tell is like cut and paste. So,
Mr. Boogie. Guys, today we're talking about Scott Derrickson's film Sinister.
And he's the same guy that did Black Phone, right?
Yes.
yeah,
Director of
with
both.
Ethan Hawke.
Just yeah, because it's got what's our boy Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, yeah.
Well, yeah, but the detective James Ranson, I think of
He's
him,
in
Oh.
it, so.
or
The younger
Ranso, I
one?
don't- Yeah,
Yeah.
he plays the brother to Ethan Hawke, and then he plays the detective, the
Oh,
what's his
okay.
face, or So-So,
Oh,
Detective
okay.
So-So. Deputy. Yeah, so let's get into it, guys. Sinister. This movie came out in 2012. The plot synopsis is: a controversial true crime writer finds a box of Super 8 home movies in his new home, revealing that the murder case he is currently researching could be the work of an unknown serial killer whose legacy dates back to the 1960s. Folks, what do you think of this movie? What was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? Dorian, start with you.
First time I actually saw it in theaters, so yeah, it was a while ago. For the podcast, I don't know. It's funny because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, okay, this is a good film. You know, like it's cool. I like how the way they did their effects. But then watching this film, I'm like, oh, like there's no chemistry with the mom, the dad. Like the kids are just weird. They never have their lights on ever in the house. Like, you know, it's just weird. Yeah, you
He's up at night.
notice.
I can relate though. In defense, I'm always watching movies late at night after everyone goes to bed. I'm the night owl, and I'm always sneaking around the house with only the light on my phone.
Yeah, but I'm talking
So
about like when they're eating dinner, there's no lights. It's like it's so weird.
Yeah,
Like Amish, they're protecting their electricity. Like, oh, we got to sell this book for the power.
Hey, he's trying to save on his money, right?
Yeah.
The broke writer.
Going through a hard time here.
Yeah.
Love it. Jordan, how about you?
So actually I was the opposite of Dorian. So my first time I actually didn't like it, and I rented it from Redbox, watched it on my computer. I was like, oh, this is horrible. I felt gross. And then I watched it now and I love it. I just think it's so great. I love Ethan Hawke, and I think he's so good, and he totally carries this movie, and I enjoy the family dynamic. And so
When you say gross, you mean like gory, or like gross as in you just thought it was really, really bad?
yeah, just like watching people, like it kind of it's almost like being in the serial killer's eyes as he's filming, as he's just like slashing
yeah.
people. I was just like, I feel like I'm murdering this family.
It did feel like you were watching something you shouldn't be. I will
Yes.
say that to the movie's credit. So I watched this movie for the first time 2 weeks ago. It was right before Halloween. I like watching scary movies this time of year, and I was like, so I found this silly study, which I know I told Jordan about this. Jordan, I don't know if you heard this. So they did like this study, like trying to find the scariest movie of all time. Ooh.
Yeah.
And there's this test. I sent it to you, Jordan. Where is it?
Oh, the heart rate thing, right?
It's a science of scare, the scariest movie according to science. And by science, they just monitored people's hearts and pulse. So like the most beats per minute on average, and where it gets elevated.
And what film is it?
And Sinister is number one.
No way. Are you
That's
kidding
what
me?
they did. Yeah.
No
Which is
way.
funny. No, I know. See, and again, you're like, oh, it's science. Are you going to negate
It's not even
science? Dorian?
scary. I didn't drop one time. I was like, okay.
I will say, as far as like jump scares per minute, like there's other movies. So like they have a few it kind of weighs a bunch of
Caveats.
factors.
Yeah.
So like for example, the movie, let's see here. Basically, this is all years, right? Because they have some that are like newer. They have a bunch of lists, right? But one of them, it's at number one because basically the scare score was the highest because it took the highest spike it's one of the highest spikes. There's a few movies that actually come really close.
It might be too the music. It's just very unnerving. Like I feel.
Well, yeah, and
I didn't feel any of that. I need to find this movie. I've been looking, like, my thing is, like, I only, for the most part, like 99% of the movies I watch are scary. So I'm always on the hunt for like a film that's actually scary. I've yet to find it. I need one that makes me go like, well, I guess, okay, the last time I got scared from a movie was Quarantine. If you remember that one. And it wasn't even the
You need to watch the
like the movie. I literally was sitting, I was watching the film, I was like, oh crap, I haven't given my dog her vaccinations, you know, as a puppy. So I'm like, what happens if she has rabies and I get rabies now? Like, that's what scared me. I was like, oh no, I have rabies.
I think you sound like more afraid of your dog than you are of the movie.
Oh, she's scary, man. She's like 5 months and like 65 pounds. She's massive.
What kind of dog you have?
German Shepherd.
Oh yeah, see, I'd be afraid of your dog.
Yeah,
so Sinister, like I said, based on this science of scares or whatever, it's just a heartbeat monitor, and basically
that's wild. Yeah.
And part of it too is like the movie kind of chugs along, and I kind of like that, because I feel like the movie, for me, watching this movie just felt like it kept escalating, which I think is really
cool. It wasn't slow.
I'm intrigued, which is something that's important for me in a horror movie. I just want to care about my characters enough to where I'm invested in what happens, right? So but yeah, so this movie wins this, and go read it. It's called The Science of Scare. It's just a funny article, but I reviewed it and so this is a movie that I completely missed out on. I don't know how. I heard about it, and I remember when it came out, people were like, oh, it's a scary movie, or it's not scary. And so I'd heard several things. I will say this had one of the more effective jump scares that I've ever experienced in my life. So anyway, excited.
Which one is that?
So one of the films at the very end, the fourth film. So we're gonna get into spoiler territory here, folks. But yeah, the lawnmower just comes out of nowhere. Like I'm watching, I'm like, what is going on? And then he's pushing the lawnmower along, and then some guy laying there. I don't know. I almost threw my iPad across the room, dude. It's crazy. But everything else, like I kind of expected, and I was invested in Ethan Hawke. I wanted to see him make his next Kentucky Murder, or Kentucky Blood. I wanted to make the next Kentucky
Blood.
I wanted to do well. I wanted his book to sell, and I understand, even though I didn't agree with his moral quandary of giving the footage over to the police. I was invested in it, and I liked it.
Well, I love that moment too when he's gonna give him over, and then he sees his Kentucky Blood, and he's like,
and he's like,
and he hangs up.
It's a good show, don't tell, right? I like that. He's looking at his book, and he's like, oh, and he hangs up. Yeah, he's like, should I come forward? Should I tell? Yeah, 911. What's your emergency? Well, I'd like to report hang up.
Yeah,
I got the scoop. I got the inside scoop. So anyway, funny stuff. By funny, I mean terrifying. This movie is terrifying, folks. It's the scariest movie of all time. That's what we're talking about. According to science. Indisputable. Dorian, what are two of your favorite things from this movie? If you can manage it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything.
He's letting you go too, so just so you have something to say.
Yeah.
In case we take something.
Well, yeah. How about Jordan? One of you or two? I'll think of mine. Yeah.
Well, opposite of Dorian, he said that he didn't like the family. I did. I thought they were great. I love Ethan Hawke. I think he's so good, and I seriously hope he makes another film with this director, because I love Black Phone. And I love this, so really excited to see what he does next. He did do a segment of VHS. It wasn't with Ethan Hawke, but it was with the cop, the young cop from this movie, and it was probably the best segment of VHS. And it also, you follow like the killer's eyes, kind of like a Halloween first person stabbing. So it's kind of fun. Serial killer. Yeah, I
like the dog.
There we go.
The dog.
There was a dog in this?
Yeah, the Doberman. Yeah, the black dog. Yeah, the Doberman out in the outside.
Yeah, the random dog. Yeah.
I wonder if the dog got an IMDb.
It was a callback. There was a reason for it. At least at the end, we find out. The scorpion, the snake, and the dog. Remember?
Yeah.
The sign of Boogeyman or Bogle, or what's his name?
Boogie, Mr. Boogie or something.
It's Bogle.
It's like Al Ghul or something.
I loved it. I liked the villain, or
I wonder if there's any actual truth in that, or if they were just going, okay, well, Babylon's farther back in history, so maybe nobody will fact check that. They'll just be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just
Mr.
gobble it up. I'll take it as doctrine.
Yeah, Mr.
As
Boogie,
yeah,
Babylon.
yeah.
Well, I like the lore behind it, and I like as they're building towards it, and it's like, he decides to not write the book because he doesn't want more people to get to know about it. I just think it's a kind of a fun premise.
So I will. Are you ready, Dorian, for something? You got two
He
things.
said
Oh,
the
back.
dog. That's one. What's the
Yeah,
second?
yeah.
I like the dog. This
Yeah, I'm
entire
trying to
hour
see.
and 50-minute movie, the 30 seconds where the Doberman was on screen, that was great. Freaking killed
Well,
it.
it's like
That dog's acting, man.
honestly, I was trying so hard not to like really get I wanted to really just get into the movie, but yeah, the
Well, we start
married.
with good first.
We have a
Well, the dog.
we have a nitpick section.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah.
this one
Tap me in, Chief.
Yeah.
I'm ready when the time comes.
Okay. Well, you can keep thinking of something. I would say I enjoy watching it for the first time, I think greatly benefits from not knowing the twist, because I actually didn't suspect any supernatural stuff. I rather enjoyed the elements where I actually thought this was like a serial killer thing, which I think I would have enjoyed more, because this movie feels like watching like what I imagine Stephen King writing a book should look like. But I think it's more just he locks himself in a room and he drinks and then he bangs out a
Which
well,
it is.
I got news for you.
It's pretty much it. Yeah.
Which it is funny.
It
is funny though that he teamed up with Stephen King's kid to make the next film.
Yeah, Black Phone.
For Sinister
cool. Yeah. But
no,
as
Black
far
Phone.
as Black Phone. Which so I enjoy the character that's writing a story and he's investigating the murders, convinces his wife to move into the murdered household. Like all those things kind of being revealed. But I enjoy Ethan Hawke. He just seems to be chewing on the scenery, He's like talking to his wife and he's like, I have to write this book. I'm doing this for you and the kids. And it's just like, and it's kind of the anti-hero, right? Where you're like, you're a bad man and you're doing this for selfish reasons, and you watch him justify it to his family, and that's always entertaining to watch. I enjoy that.
Yeah, I love when
wasn't having it.
We discussed this before, but him watching his tapes of his old interview and kind of
that's
looking back.
Great.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I really like that. That was a great scene where he's, because we talked about what his
it was like
what he was thinking.
It was kind of like, is he just reflecting and wishing he could relive that, or was he? Because you said it looks like he was lying about it. Like
so it'll be an interesting discussion, right? So he's basically watching a book or his interview on 60 Minutes or whatever, a TV show, interviewing the author, asking him like, oh, what were your inspirations and why'd you write this book? And do you feel like any moral quandary about profiting off of a true crime, right?
Yeah.
And this is like a real interesting thing, because I actually did go down a rabbit hole of true crime podcasts for a while, because I just found them interesting, because it's like true stories and then just hearing about the aftermath and like, the victims' lives, people picking up their lives after a horrific event, like, being attacked by a killer or stalked by a killer, whatever, right? And some really interesting ones out there for sure. And then there's some that are like way too dark that I'm like inside the mind of it. I'm like, I don't need any of that. So like I went down that rabbit hole and I eventually was like, climb back out. But there's like a huge market for this stuff, right? Netflix always has like, oh, this killer.
Thai search history, how to I murder my family and get away with it.
Well, he watches that show.
I went too far. Yeah.
I started hearing voices in my head. But so the whole question was, they're like, do you feel any sort of responsibility? Copycats is a concern. Immortalizing these stories, bringing up painful memories or victim. Like there's a lot of different angles that I never even considered before. But it's interesting because Ethan Hawke's doing the interview and he like rolls his eyes because he goes, I'm here to make some money. And then he's like, oh, just kidding. But it's really, about like the victims and everything. And he kind of rolls his eyes and you wonder, because he said, what was it that he specifically rolled his eyes about? What was his motive, right? He's like, why did you write the book? And he said it was about
what's more important is that the people, that the truth comes out and that the people that died get their story told,
because it's revealed that the police had done a mistake or didn't properly act in a thing. So it's like the police it kind of reminds me of Making a Murderer, now that I've seen that now.
Yeah.
Like the Steve Avery case, which again, I still think that guy killed Teresa Halbach, not a doubt in my mind, but they framed it like the cops planted evidence, and I do believe that they did plant evidence. So it's like, but there's definitely stuff that they hid. So they try to make him seem like he's an innocent man. No, I think he's guilty of sin, but I do believe that they planted evidence to try to nail it on the guy that they believe did it. And that's very disconcerting. But see, we live in such a stupid time and there's no nuance. It's like, it's still bad if cops plant evidence, whether it's the guy or not. Like, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. Terrifying reality. But anyway, that made me think of this, right? Where he's like, some bad guys go free because the cops did something wrong. But anyway, so I just thought that was interesting because as far as morality is concerned, like, what do you guys think? Do you guys think true crime, because there's such a market for it, are we all just sick in the head, or is it totally fine? Like, can you just report on true crime and make it sensationalized and tell a story?
Yeah, I mean, that's storytelling since the beginning of time, and I think if you expect people not to make these stories, sensational, that's gonna sort of go back on everything they've learned since they were a kid. Because when you're on a playground, you come back home to tell your family a story. You tell them something boring, nobody listens, right? You tell them some juicy gossip tea, of how you saw dad at the park kissing another woman and it wasn't mom. All of a sudden, that's a good story, and the kid learns, like, if I make it sensational, people listen.
And trust me, I know from personal experience.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like, yes, I think, there's steps you can take to sort of, be moral in how you do it. By changing names or changing like a little bit of key information or withholding it, right, for like the privacy and protection. But other than that, no, real life is real life. And I think, the moment you try, hiding things behind closed doors so the rest of the world doesn't, take it and run or something, I mean, that again defeats sort of the purpose of living life, right? Because it's like, you do have the bad portions where it's like you got the nut jobs, who go out and, based on, what they read, they sort of instigate the problem, right? Or survivors. But then on the other side, you got, like the how to make a murder or whatever, where they wrongfully try to pin it on somebody else. And it's like, it brought light to it in an otherwise dark room, I guess, so to say.
Yeah.
So I think everybody should write about it, talk about it.
Yeah, I like that. And you mentioned tax. So I agree actually with that. Because part of me is like everything is inspired by something else. Like original thoughts, sure, we can take them and run with them. And sometimes we can mold them and change them enough where it's original enough. Like, is anything truly original, right? Like everything dates back. Everything is inspired from your upbringing, from, from friends, from whatever it is, your interactions with other people. So I tend to agree with you, Dorian. Jordan, how about you? As far as moral quandaries,
I agree with
tell the
Dorian.
story.
In case people...
I want to know the dirty details, dude. Jordan's freaking the Nightcrawler, dude. He's dragging the body to make the shot look more appealing.
Moving them around,
dragging the dead body. Like, oh, that looks better. Yeah,
that looks
much more horrifying.
He's like, this is what I'm doing. What I went to school for.
When he's holding the camera, he's like, it's beautiful.
It's a constant battle in my head, because like I also go through phases where I'm just like, I consume so much of that content, and then right afterwards I'm like feeling really gross, and like I
got a proposition for you both, say Jordan and Dorian. So I got a way we can appeal everything. All you have to do is just say this is based on a true story at the beginning of your movie. And Fargo, the Coen brothers did it perfectly. It's not based off any sort of story. None of it's real. I mean, to be fair, there was a story that the Coen brothers had the movie inspired from, but they made it sound like, oh, this is all what happened. Just say it's based off real events and people will eat that shit up, because no one
didn't they do that for Paranormal Activity? I think the first one they did that.
Yeah, they're like,
this is based on a real story. It's like, no,
dude, they put up missing posters for the actors in
Blair Witch
Project. They're like, have you seen
did they?
people?
Okay.
It was the first time they'd done the found footage, and they were like, oh my gosh, these people really.
That's the way to do it. That's podcast. That's how you get away with murder. You murder, you put up missing posters, but at the same time, you're also making a movie.
You're like, right? all the famous murder.
Yeah, they're like, oh wow, yeah, all the good scary movies put up these fake posters, and Jordan's in the background filming.
I am very curious.
Like, I've done it.
I'm very curious to see where technology goes and if they're able to do another thing like that, because I feel like it's been a while since, like Dorian mentioned, Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch were the big, like, kind of trick the audience into believing like, oh, this was real. So
Well, you got the AI deep fake, so
yeah, I was
they
just about to
totally
mention
could.
that. Yeah, my wife just sent me
just
a
saw
message.
the president announce nuclear launch codes.
Well,
man.
no,
It's
did you see
World War
the
III.
message
Oh, it's
I
fake.
sent you, Ty? That they can now imitate your voice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
plenty of hours of the podcast for them to take my voice. So. But
Just
if
put
I
it
say,
into their
but see,
program.
everyone here on the podcast knows if I say something intelligible, it's likely AI. So at least they know to avoid it. Yeah. So they won't be scammed, hopefully. But
Well,
Right.
at least you'll never have a sick day. You know, just take off. Be like, I'm not bringing the bot.
Exactly. Yeah, the bot just comes replacing me on the phone.
Yeah, but it's gonna be younger Ty. You have to make sure he has the whole like swoop. You know.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Love
Bring
it.
back the Justin Bieber haircut.
Bring it back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was the one moral thing I wanted to ask. But yeah, Jordan, how about two of your favorite things?
I already said
I'm
them.
sorry, no, you said two favorite.
Any
No,
nitpicks?
that's not what I said. No, I sound like Joe Biden. Get your face out of yours. Dorian, did you have a second thing you wanted to say? The dog.
You finally think of a second thing.
I appreciate the fervor in of which he's dedicated to his writing, even though because it's a funny thing. Like, you mean, because they have other movies where like Johnny Depp plays like writers, you know,
Secret Window,
you got The Shining,
right?
where it's like,
talking about
and
Secret
they
Window,
actually
though,
write, they actually like write, you know, and it's like, yeah, okay, obviously if you're gonna write a book, you write, but it's like 90% of the time, it's like you're taking notes, you're going over your stuff, you're making sure there's no mistakes in your world building, or you listen to music, you have an idea, you have some drinks, and then you just like sit and drink and go, huh, well, you know, I could do this about the book. And you do that for like months, and then you write like, you know, half the book, and then you do it for another, like, at least me. Like, it takes me,
Yeah.
it takes me like a year to write, but like 90% of the time, it's me just going, and like drinking while I'm like imagining the book, but never actually putting pen to paper, you know, until, you know, I'm like, okay, well, I'm a little behind schedule now. I got 3 months to write 500 pages. So I like that.
Gosh, I'm an alcoholic and I haven't written anything.
Oh my, yeah, that's the first thing I said. I was like, oh, okay, he's drunk. All right.
Exactly. It's like, I can write about that. Ugh,
Yeah.
if I wasn't so friggin' hammered.
They got one thing right.
Yeah. I've noticed. Well, it's funny. My Alexa that sits on top of my fridge. It's like, oh, Holly is a new Stephen King book, you know, and I'm like, oh, still hammering him out, dude. Like, I just heard of his other book, you know,
I swear he probably uses the ghostwriter now, though, or he uses like the chat GPT. Yeah,
chat GPT.
Yeah.
Write me a Stephen King novel. Hey, this is pretty good.
And he's probably got the version. He's going to be like, write a Stephen King novel with these names, but pull from ideas from my books, and then things done.
Okay. Here's
I would not be surprised.
It's a mysterious.
He writes so fast. It's like Tom
Clancy.
Tom Clancy does the same thing. He's like, bro, stop writing. Like I write fast and I type fast, you know. And it's like my books are big, but it's like I cannot. Like, I know I have 25 books left, and I hope to do it before I'm 60. I can't imagine writing like 150 books. But then you go to the bookstore and you actually open some of the books, and you're like, oh, this is straight garbage.
Wait.
I'm glad we brought Dorian on the podcast because, you know, I've never written anything, so I'm glad that we get this perspective.
Besides an essay in school.
Oh, and I can't even call those essays. That was just BSing my way to get a grade that, you know, I could graduate with. So.
Could you imagine chat GPT though if we were still in school?
Oh my word, dude! I'd be even less intelligible than I am now. And that's hard to imagine, dude.
Everything, yeah.
Oh my word!
Because I mean, the worst we had was no Wikipedia. So,
dude, I wouldn't even wrote like texts. I've been like, hey, text my friend an excuse to get me out of the group meeting this week. Yeah. Your dog died. I'm like, oh, I got to remember that. I apparently had a dog and my grandma's dead. Okay.
That's actually one of the first tricks I ever learned for a job. If you ever get a flat tire, take a picture, because that's a free excuse whenever you want it. Right? Be like, oh, I got a flat tire.
Okay, I know this is a side tangent, but I have to ask if they do turn your books into a TV show, and like Game of Thrones, if they catch up to the end of your book and you're not done writing the other 25.
So the cool thing about that is they won't, right?
Okay.
Because
I was just like making sure they wouldn't ruin your material. Yeah.
No, they wouldn't be able to, because there's one series that's done, another series that's like halfway done another series that just started. There's a total of like 5 or 6 different series, right?
Oh,
That
they're
all
different.
standalone,
Okay.
but they're all in the same universe. But you don't know that until you read them. So by themselves, you're like, oh, it's very interesting. I like these 4 books, or these 5 books, or 3 books, or the 15 books. And you're like, these are dope. But as you read the other ones, you pick up on the Easter eggs, and you're like, oh.
Okay, so what's the name? What's the name of one of your protagonists?
William.
William.
You know, it's actually really funny.
Any actor, money's no option. What actor plays William? Curious.
Ooh, William. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a very interesting one. What's that one boxing boy? Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He would. He'd be a good William. Yeah.
I liked it. I saw Creed 3 and Creed 1.
Yeah,
Don't remember if I saw Creed 2, but
Yeah.
I think he's good. He's charismatic.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan. He's an action star. I actually know nothing about your book, so you're gonna have to give that a plug at the end.
Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end. Sorry, I kind of did a side tangent. But back to
But you guys can read my books for the podcast and then invite me back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how to read. I never learned to read.
That's fine. I'll get the audio book up.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. So
Yes.
only
I
if
can
it's
do that.
narrated by you though, because I refuse to listen to somebody else's voice.
What were you gonna say?
I'm actually gonna get David Attenborough to narrate it.
Yeah.
William, Sir William. It's not Sir William. It's just William. He's played by Michael B. Jordan. Sir Knighted William. So, I don't know why.
David Michael Caine.
Any nitpicks of Sinister? I'm sure
David
Dorian's got a
the
few.
dead one. Who's the live one? There's one of the brothers that's still alive. Anyway, sorry. I said David Attenborough. I think I meant the other one. Anyway, one of the Attenboroughs. What were you saying, Jordan? Nitpicks about this movie? Yeah, hit us up, Dorian. You apparently think this.
You got your list out.
Yeah. Well, first thing first, when he's like going through the camera, and then he rewatches like all the film of the family that are hanging from the tree. You know, then you see Bagul in the bushes, and he like zooms up, right, and it's like all super grainy, and it's like you can literally see where it's been like a copy pasted face, right? But it's like super grainy. But then he goes, okay, I'm gonna print it. But then it's like, you know, the best printer in the world. It comes out like super HD, wonderful color. I'm like,
no, you have to understand.
It's like grainy as crap.
In the real world, printers don't print. You ask it to print something for you, and it does.
And it's like, please load more ink. Because,
yeah,
like,
we need more.
I know you're trying to print
where
black,
did it go?
but
I just put this cartridge in
yesterday. I just loaded it.
Yeah. So that I wasn't a fan again of the dynamic of the family, because it's like I didn't think they made me care enough, right? Like you see the daughter painting, they didn't really give a history on that. You know, but then the kid gets in trouble.
He didn't beat his wife enough. It's not real.
Yeah, you didn't beat like anybody else, and it's like that's just so
quiet
weird.
woman.
Like the kid
Get
gets
in the
trouble
kitchen.
at school, and it's like, okay, well, has he always been a troublemaker? Like, there's no parenting.
Yes. Dory, so one of my nitpicks was I really wish they would have explored it more, or even maybe they left it ambiguous for a reason. And I'd love to hear what Scott. I haven't heard any interviews about Scott Derrickson about this, but the son. So one thing I will say, I
agree with the ending. You're going to talk about the ending.
What was that?
Oh no, I thought you were going to talk about the ending. How the boy was not the killer. I thought they were leading up to that, and I felt like that was.
Well, you know why they did that.
Yeah, I honestly don't really care whether it was the boy or the girl. Well, I guess the boy actually would make more sense to me.
Because the girl got no screen time.
I feel like they should have just kept the boy, but the
girl.
Well, I mean,
you can tell from the first thing. So the first time you ever see her in the room, right? You see the symbol in black when he's first, like when they first move in. You see that first thing, right? And at first it just looks like a hollow, which is a circle, and a hollow for most like symbol like meaning is like gateway for demons, right? But then you hear in the description of
course,
yeah.
But,
you know,
I didn't know that. No,
well, I mean, if you watch scary movies, it's the same
Yeah.
thing. You know, they do like the circle with like the triangles. I mean, it's a witch and pagan symbol, right?
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for
hollows. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for Dorian to like angle his camera a little bit, and there's like all this stuff set up in his room.
No, but then it's like because he talks about Bagul, right? And it's like that's while he's not a real deity, it's like he's based off of Moloch from like the Phoenicians, right? That dude lived in children's dreams versus on camera screen. So the boy who's sleepwalking or has the night terrors, it's because he's seeing these things in the dream, right? Would make less sense that he's the one possessed because he's like more clairvoyant in his dreams,
right? So one thing I would give points to this movie, I really enjoyed the eerie. I mean, the visual very early on, there's a box and it moves, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be the fake scare, and then it's so surreal. He falls out of the box upside down. It's
Yeah,
like
that was
something out of Grudge or Ring. It was just so, I was like, oh, that's very unnerving. And
it
and
took
he's
me a
just like,
second too. I'm like, who is that?
I was like, what am I looking at? It was just so and I was like, that's a very and I like that you find out the boy has night terrors. So I enjoyed it, and it was a fake scare, but it was very unnerving, and it wasn't like necessarily a jump scare. It was like what you were seeing. It was like almost as upsetting.
It
as
was
like
real, but it wasn't what you thought.
Yes, exactly. Like it wasn't at all. I was like, I would have been a cat jumps out, or like
I would have kicked
the demon's there. Yeah, it's just like, oh, there's the
Yeah.
scary thing. I was like, we're getting right into this movie, but the kid comes out, and I was like, oh my gosh, the kid's possessed. But I'm like, no, he's like freaking out because he's having a night terror.
Yeah.
So I thought
Jordan
that
would
was
have
good.
hit
They
it.
explained away. Good.
I
fake
might
scare.
have. That would have scared
Jordan
me
would
to
have been
death.
like,
just go up to the box and stab it
Yeah.
first. And then,
Oh my
He's
god.
like, hold on, I gotta get my camera. I gotta get my camera.
just rams the sword through it first and then checks it. Or
you have a
shoot it
sword?
first. Yeah, shoot now, ask questions later, right? I learned that from Ash.
So yeah, that was my big nitpick. There wasn't really a connection with the family. I also find it weird, like they talked about how the kids, or they mentioned it, how the kids always drug up like the parents, so he does, or how the killer does it, so he doesn't have to overpower them. And like, you never actually see how the parents get, like, you see him like lurking on the house of kids, you know? But it's like you don't see him actually ever get subdued. You don't, like, he's wide awake, but you don't know what they're drugged with. They never branched into that. Like what
it really
it's like, and then if they weren't actually drugged,
so
and it was like maybe he was like a shock, maybe it was a shock and he's like too shocked to move, but it's like there's no movement from any of them while she's about to kill you. Like
Dorian's like, what drugs are they using and where can I get some?
no, taking notes. No, I just say, you know, I don't know. And it's like, I
agree. So one of my biggest nitpicks, and I was really kind of hoping this was just a serial killer. I enjoyed everything that wasn't supernatural. I really wanted to fake out where I thought the whole movie was leading to it being it's a boogeyman, but it's like, no, it's just like a real killer.
Mass murderer.
I do like the killer idea better.
Because I think that, but again, that being said, so Dorian, to your point, like the movie feels so rushed at the end. It's like, he is a demon, and he's right there, and he's poisoning your daughter, and I'm carrying your daughter off to the end. I'm like,
exactly.
What?
I honestly
thought
it was gonna be the young cop. I thought the young cop was one of the kids who used to get stolen, and then he got, like, he was raised by this person to eventually turn himself into like a maniac, and he's trying to get close to see what he found out so he could then kill the family. That's what I thought.
You wanted the bad cop,
yeah. Well, not the old cop, like the boy. Like I thought, the younger cop. I was like, he used to be a child who was kidnapped. Changed his name, kind of a psychopath, and now he's at this man's house.
I have a movie to sell you, Dorian. Have you ever seen I See You with Helen Hunt?
I'm not good with names.
I highly recommend it. I See You. Look up that movie. I like what you're describing, but it's a good movie, and anyway, kind of like what you described. If that spoils it for you, but it's a good movie. I See.
Oh, 2019. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good movie. So
it's fun.
It's got the guy from Office Space. I can never remember his name, and then Helen Hunt. It's a good movie. So recommend that one. So one other thing that I wanted to mention too was I really enjoyed the part where he's complicit watching this footage, because I felt like, as a passenger in the video, we were watching something we weren't supposed to. I enjoyed every time he got off the film reel, and it was like the cool quick cuts almost felt like Edgar Wright. He's like putting up this old projector, and the tape starts rolling, and you're like, oh man, what are we going to watch now? Another, murder victims. And then it's great. You see, like, the throat being cut and the reflection of his eye. I really enjoyed those elements of the movie where he's conflicted, obviously, but they did a good job at showing it is taking a toll on not only on him, but then his relationship with his wife and with his kids, and whether or not they executed that well or not. I could totally see your side, to that, but it does take a toll. And one thing I thought they would explore a little bit more, and they touched on it. They're like, our son has these night terrors. I thought it was a result of maybe one time when he came into his office and witnessed something so horrifying. The projector kept playing at night. I was just waiting for the boy to be there watching it. I was just waiting for that, because I'm assuming with these night terrors, maybe he stumbled in on his father's office and witnessed something so horrific that it messed him up. And I think that would be a more emotional weight to his job, because it's like, you messed up your kid based on your work.
And I think that would fit more too, because it's like mom kept freaking out, like, oh, you gotta close your so maybe it was like a subtle nod. Maybe it was a subtle nod to the fact that it did, because I mean, she kept saying, like, leave your door closed this time, you can't do it again. It's like, so maybe it was, but it's like, Yeah, I like that
I just
approach.
thought there would
where,
be a
like, your
payoff at
dad
the
messes
end. I thought the payoff would be that the son would be sitting there watching it, and then he would be horrified. The
Oh,
son's
that
sitting
yes, I
there
was waiting for that too.
horrified
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, it's the demon starting up the movie. And then the other thing I did also enjoy at the very end, he's talking to the professor man. This is like the learning everything at the end. The professor man's like, what was his name? I gotta find the actor. It's Benicio
It's a
D'Onofrio
dude
from
from
freaking.
Daredevil. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I also know him from what's
The
the
lawyer
movie?
show.
No, the military one. Goes
Oh,
crazy, blows
Top Gun. No, not Top
no,
Gun.
Full Metal Jacket.
Full
Sorry,
Metal Jacket. Yeah,
Full
yeah,
Metal
yeah.
Jacket. That's the one.
He jewels on himself.
Yeah. He's
He's
Professor
like in the
Jonas.
bathroom, like, yeah,
I can't do his face.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
anyway.
Exactly. Well, you did well.
Um,
So
yeah.
you got it.
And he's the alien in Men in Black. I don't know why I love mentioning this, but Benicio D'Onofrio is a great
Oh, yeah,
actor,
he is, yeah.
and I just love him being the professor in this one. And at the end, he's like, "Hey, you're gonna see the sign of the snake, the scorpion, and the dog," and it's like, "Holy crap!" Like he nails it. And then
Yeah.
he's like, and if you watch it or read his stuff, you're complicit in it, and then he comes for you. And he goes, and it's if you lived in his house. That's the through line. Every single one of the victims of Boogeyman lived in the house. And he's like,
Well, no,
"Oh,
he
I'm
said
out
when
of
you,
there."
yeah, and then when you move out of the
When he
house,
moved
yeah.
out, he's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
he's
you've
fair.
accelerated the process."
Okay, that's probably my biggest nitpick right there. Is
Yeah.
after they left the house, this broke family who can't pay for electricity, they move into this ginormous, like, old school style house.
That was their old house. They said they couldn't sell it. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh,
So to be fair, they did mention, and he goes, "We
so they
can't
moved
afford
from
two
that very
mortgages."
nice house to some garbage like suburb in the middle of like
You would
Mississippi.
assume, and they have. By the way, I got my realtor license last year. You have to disclose if a family was murdered.
Well, but
Kinda funny.
does
I mean,
the
they
wife have to
disclosed
be
it to
there though?
that.
No, yeah, exactly. Does the wife have to be there? That's my point. It's like they sold Ethan Hawke, and he's like, "Yeah, this is great. Come on, bring the kids." And she's like, "We don't live next door to the murder house." He's like, "No, absolutely not. We live in the murder
He's telling
house."
the truth. He's telling the truth.
He was
told
telling
you.
the truth,
And
technically.
I love because I was waiting in my head. I thought the exact same thing. But what I loved about it, because they reveal it like with the tree, and you find out, oh, they're in that house. But what I love about it is he tries to justify it when his wife's like, "I asked you if we lived." He goes, "Yeah, I told you we didn't live down if you." He like justifies it to her. So
Yeah.
funny. Like that was laugh out loud funny. He's
That
like,
was good.
I didn't lie to you. Hey, we don't live a few houses down. We live in the house. Yes.
Yeah.
You didn't ask me that.
Once again, his performance. I thought it was great.
Yeah, his two conversations with his wife where he's like, "I gotta write the story. I like it's so important." It was great. He sold it for me, and he's like kind of drunk too. He's kind of manic. He's like, "I gotta write this story." Loved it. But yeah, so I kind of thought there would be something there, and then like I said, Bagul, even his character design, I kind of like the thicker eyes. It's very unnerving because it does seem like kind of like Leatherface almost, where it's like a bag head, or it looks like he's wearing like a mesh mask.
He actually looks exactly like the guitarist in Slipknot. If you look it up,
he does. Yes. Yes.
That's good. I actually I was like, he reminds me of like a death metal. Slipknot's a great, the whole mask they wear. Yeah. It looks like a scarecrow kind of thing. Yeah, it's very off-putting, especially like when you get glimpses of it through the VHS tape. So, but I will say, so as far as the last thing I'll say, the music, Jordan, you mentioned it. I thought that was so well done. It was very unnerving to me because you hear the soundtrack in this movie. It's pretty much what I would play like if you were playing Ghost in the Graveyard at night, or playing like Mafia,
or if you're trying to torture somebody.
Yeah.
Or if you were in the act of murdering someone. Yes,
pull them into the pool.
Yeah. Okay, and the barbecue pool party. I love the names, the innocuous names, and then lawnmower or whatever. All of them are very innocuous things, but they're all like pretty horrific deaths, right? Like throat being slashed, drowning in the pool, burning them alive.
Death by the smallest.
Death by a lawnmower. Yeah, not since.
That thing was like this big though. When it's like moving, you're like, what is that? A little kid's push mower? Like, I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah, but that jump scare. My goodness, lawnmowers. It's great. Yeah, my review for this movie was pool parties and lawnmower, fresh cut grass. Man, it's a great time. Bring the whole family.
Yeah.
But yeah. So as far as I think the serial killer aspect, I'm repeating myself, but yeah, I think I almost like where he was like, this dates back to the 60s. It's like, dude, this serial killer is like 70 years old, and I thought he was gonna be some creepy old man. I was waiting for it because then the bag head, like, he pulls it off and he's still creepy and wrinkled, and Jason.
It was just like one of the cops pulled it off.
Yeah, he's the cop. Yeah. Oh, and he's like a copycat murder, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah,
because he's one of the victims. Love it.
Yeah. Well, again, because like then you got this dude's like, he's like, can I come inside? no, I just told you scary crap's happening in my house. You can't just come inside. And he's like, how about you tell me everything? I'm so curious. Like, that had me
Yeah,
so
you're like,
suspicious. I was like, no.
Oh yeah,
that's
he would be
interesting.
a good suspect because he's
It's
like
Yeah.
so interested in the case.
Yeah,
Well, it's so
exactly.
funny
Yeah.
because he literally plays the same character in Black Phone. So
Oh yeah, he
spoilers for
was like
Black Phone.
obsessed with the
He's
case.
like obsessed with the case. The cops come in and he goes, "Hey, so I." He has like a diagram. He's like, you know, his conspiracy theory board. He's like, "Dude, all the murders are happening, so that means the killer lives like right here." And he's like, he's pointing like basically to his
At his
house.
house.
And he
Didn't
hasn't pieced it
Black
together.
Phone just come out too? Because I
Yeah.
swore I
It
saw that movie.
was.
I saw another film that was like exactly the same years ago. I watched it online, and I think it was that. I think I watched it online, and then I think they might have just released it, but I think they low key made that movie a while ago. That's my conspiracy theory.
Black
I found,
Phone.
yeah, with Ethan Hawke. Yeah,
And
I
then
saw the
I'm trying to
trailer,
find
and
the
I'm like,
release date. Um,
I think it has just released, but I watched the trailer, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I know exactly what happens in the film. I've seen it. I
yeah,
think,
it's like in the last 2 or 3 years, I want to say.
yeah,
But
maybe
you feel
then.
saw a movie like it. I mean,
Yeah,
there's definitely
conspiracy
movies
theories.
like
It's been done for like 5, 6 years, and they just now are releasing it.
Or maybe you time travel, you didn't know it. It's just like
There
I
we go.
saw
Yeah,
this.
I'm from a different
or
timeline, different Mandela effect, right? Yeah,
yeah. Or you know, if you're like you said, you watch scary movies a lot, so you might be thinking, oh, I've seen
yeah,
this
but
before.
it's it's very uncommon to
2021.
see
It's
Ethan
yeah, it's
Hawke
2 years, two
in
years
that
ago.
like two movies that are exactly the same, wearing the mask and having fun.
Yeah,
I
it
don't know.
was so it was 2 years ago, 2021,
Yeah, I saw it
and
before that. Yeah,
you saw it before that.
yeah, I'm telling you,
Saw it
telling you.
before it was released, man.
Yeah, well, I watched it on one of those like you go to the website and you click a link and it just starts playing the movie, like
Well,
one of
he
those
also did
shady
the
sites.
Exorcism of Emily Rose. I don't know if you saw that, but that was the same director, so maybe
No,
you
no,
have
no,
you'd
no.
seen it.
I saw that.
It was where somebody was in the room with a phone and they're trying to like fix it and it keeps coming in to like inspect. You know,
You
I
might.
don't
Oh,
know.
you're talking about Cellular with Chris Evans and Kim
No,
Basinger. She's locked in
no.
the attic and she has
Oh
the
yeah, she
phone and they
did.
come
Oh
in.
shoot, that actually might be it. Hold on.
Yeah, dude. Holy
That's
crap! Did you just reference Cellular, dude? Love that movie. And yeah,
maybe. Hold on, maybe.
yeah, dude. She's in the
Oh yeah,
attic.
it is cellular. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
I
you
love
know,
it. Yeah, dude. The guys keep they smash the telephone and she like
yeah, like smashed
reassembles
against the
it and
wall.
calls Chris Evans. Like, guys, we need to do a review of Cellular. Have we done Cellular already on the
No.
pod? Dude, Dorian, we'll bring you back for
Wait, hold
Cellular.
on.
Yeah,
Is this
dude,
it?
Cellular's
Yeah.
great.
Okay. Yeah. All right. This is
Home
it.
captive makes the
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
There it
I
is.
swore he had a mask on his face though.
No masks on that movie.
Guess
But I love
not.
it. That's so funny. A lot of parallels. Yeah. Don't get kidnapped, guys.
Yeah.
Don't get kidnapped. Anyway, so any last thoughts about Sinister? I highly recommend it though, as far as like a scary movie. It's a great, if you haven't seen it, I think there's plenty of scares. Like it has cheap jump scares, but it has some good meaningful jump scares that were built up. Like the lawnmower is so earned. I even say it now. You're watching and you're like, what is that? Dude.
Well, Black
Great.
Phone is a real story too. So I mean, it's good.
A real story. You mean like a real book that was adapted into a movie?
No, as in it's a real like kidnap case from 2004.
Get out of here. What?
Yeah, 13-year-old kid.
Well,
Probably
kids
where he
get
got his
kidnapped all the
inspiration.
time.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but it's like based on, a kid that got kidnapped, but it's got like supernatural elements to it. I mean, I digress.
Mason Thames, a 13-year-old boy who's kidnapped, based on Joe Hill's 2000. Oh, short story. All right, not a real story. All right, close enough. Close enough.
Okay, good. I feel a little vindicated because I'm like, oh, I come off as like a big jerk here. I'm like, yeah, it didn't happen. It's like, that was my story. Now I'm like diminishing the victim. No, yeah, based on a short story. Yes. But yeah, well done. Anyway, would you guys recommend Sinister?
Let me
I would
guess what
recommend it.
Dorian would say.
Yeah, I recommend it.
I
Absolutely.
I do feel
recommend
like horror.
cellular. Yeah.
What'd you do to me? I cut your
Yeah.
coronary artery. Nag. You stupid nag.
See you, Guardian.
Guardian.
Oh,
And
The
we-
Guardian. I like that movie.
No,
Oh,
no,
I was
I'm saying-
saying, yeah,
Jordan
we're
was
talking
referring. that was a deep dive, folks. Jordan was referring to TV Guardian that used to edit out swear words in movies that we'd watch, and instead of the B word, it would say nag. And so he calls her a nag after she kills him. It's his final words as he's dying, and it would just cut out, the volume would cut out entirely of the movie you were watching, and then it would give a subtitle
And it would just
that
say
would
nag.
We just thought it was so funny. But see, we knew all the replacement words, so we'd hear them and be like, "Oh, nag! I know what he's saying."
You had like
but
cheat codes.
yeah, you're just thinking.
Into
in
the
your head, you're
notebook.
like, of course. It is just so funny. The stuff you do to protect your kids, right, folks? Anyway, so, but yeah, Dorian's like, oh, you're like, oh wait, I don't even remember what you said, but yeah, completely unrelated, super dumb deep dive. But I'm glad we went down that tangent. Dorian, we end every movie podcast by sharing things that we've seen lately and movies that we're looking forward to seeing. Do you have any movies that you've been watching lately, or movies that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the Talk to Me, but you guys actually already did that already. I like that one a lot.
Yeah,
that
I
was a
just
good-
watched it again.
Yeah,
Stellar.
I did like
Love
2
that
days
one.
ago. Yeah.
Really good.
No, I mean, out of the realm of scary movies, I just watched again The Professor and the Madman. It's great. It's a great movie.
Professor and the Badman?
Madman.
The Madman. I don't know this one.
You should. Yeah, it has good people on it. I forgot their names.
Chris Evans and Kim Basinger. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Cellular.
Who is it? And it's
Professor and the
Oh,
Badman.
Yeah,
Mel Gibson,
yeah, and the other guy. Yeah,
Sean Penn.
Wait, I'm
Yep.
not finding it. The Professor
and the Madman.
I'm looking for it. Why is
I
it
love
not
Mel
showing?
Gibson.
Great, you watch it. He does a wonderful performance in that.
There it is.
If you guys
Okay.
ever did that,
Oh,
bring me
Sean
back
Penn.
to that movie because I'll have good things to say
2019.
about that. I got that. No nitpicks on that one. Yeah.
Oh, I saw this movie. Is my daughter in there? No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
What?
What?
That's a reference to oh wait, not Creek. What's the other one? It's got
Television?
No, 1 second. It's Dawson's Creek. No, what's it called? I can't remember the name. It's like a creek. It's
Is it a
it's
movie?
directed- Yeah,
Creek?
Crimson Creek. Oh shoot, what's the movie called? It's the movie Clint Eastwood, I think. I think it's Clint Eastwood.
He has a very specific face. so-
Shawshank Redemption. What's his name? Shawshank
Morgan
Redemption.
Freeman,
The other guy.
the white one.
Yeah, the white guy. Tim Robbins. Something
Dawson's Creek.
Dawson's Creek.
It says Tim.
This is-
yeah.
this
Oh,
is-
Mystic River.
Mystic River. Holy crap. Okay. The wrong body of water. Mystic River. Sean Penn's performance. Is my daughter in there? Anyway, sorry. Not funny.
Dang, yeah, he's old now.
I just had to get it. That was bothering me.
Oh, that
I'm
was a
sorry.
sad one now.
It was a sad movie. but
Mystic
anyway.
Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mystic
it's,
River.
It's not Tim Robbins.
Oh, Mystic River. Yeah.
Tim Robbins?
Oh my gosh, Ty just drop it.
Yeah, no, go on. Yeah. Keep going. It is Tim Robbins, but anyway, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Professor and Madman. I just rewatched A Beautiful Mind. That was a good one.
Is that the Russell Crowe movie?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
where he has
man.
like schizophrenia. Yeah.
That was painful. I have not yet rewatched it. I watched it once when I was
What?
14.
It's
I was
such a good
14 years
movie.
old when I watched it. And I'm like, I don't think I'll ever.
It's
rewatch this
still
again.
it's still a hitter. It's still a
Still
hitter.
good?
It's
Ooh.
nice. Yeah, it's still good.
That's
Yeah.
hard to watch, man.
Back in the day. Yeah.
Leaving your kid in a bathtub unattended. Oh, I can't. do
He's schizophrenia, Ty. He's not like, oh, okay. He thought he's real. He thought somebody was there
I'm not
watching it.
saying I'm not saying, oh, he's morally reprehensible. I won't watch that. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's very stressful to watch a movie. where you're
Stressful.
like, oh my
It is
gosh, I
stressful.
care
Oh, okay.
about
Yeah,
a
yeah,
baby gonna drown. Like it's real.
I was like,
man.
Ty's like,
Struggle.
mm-mm.
Like, well, because I've drowned a few of my own babies, so it's hard.
Oh jeez.
For a movie, guys, he's filming how to get away with murder.
Well, I have to look young. I have to kidnap my kid. The children victims. That was the craziest thing. The ending didn't
Hey.
scare me. Sorry, just had to bring that back up. He's walking
What
off
for
with
the?
Sinister? He's walking off with the child.
Yeah, the
no,
makeup was too bad. It was so bad.
no.
Do you need to get going, Dorian? I just want to make sure
We
we're
don't
being
respect your
respectful of
time on this
You're
podcast.
fine. You're fine for a little bit.
This is the
I got
Hotel
it.
California. Once
you
you
gotta-
check in, you can never leave. Hey, we're
Say.
having a good time, Jordan.
But-
What do you gotta?
I know.
up there?
I ain't gonna.
Well,
cut this
I do have other commitments in like 3 minutes. So,
Okay. But
Yeah.
wait, plug your book before we forget. Don't forget that.
yeah. So you can go to my Instagram for now, because the website has to be redone by the publishers. But the Monster Within comes out mid-December, and so the Instagram is just DP Balesco. I'm sure you guys. I'll give you the information. Maybe you can put it on the screen or something.
I'll put it on the link in the description.
Yeah, I'll show you the picture of the book though, quick, because it's pretty dope. Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Oh heck yeah!
I have to say, Monsters Within is a good title. There was a TV show called Monsters Inside Me, and I did not like that title. I think it was about like parasites or something like that. The monsters with inside me or whatever. About like
He
creepy
was.
parasites under your flesh and stuff. All kinds of
Give
weird
me
stuff.
2 seconds. I'm so sorry.
It just reminds me of
Oh.
the man by what?
Tobias.
That's a
Fünke,
different kind of book.
It's from Tobias
That's
Fünke,
from Arrested
man.
Development.
Yeah, Arrested Development.
All right, here we go.
It's coming, folks. You get it. You get it here first.
Today, I don't know why it's
Hot
not
off
like
the presses.
just open the picture.
Extra, read all about it. Dorian's new book.
What's that voice from? I recognize it.
Newsies. I don't know. Take it, friends.
Oh,
I'm
it's
your
really just
sons
making
with
me log in.
knowledge.
I can cut this. It's all good. Cut it.
Oh, okay.
Cut
All
that. Cut that. Cut that.
Cut that. Cut that. Cut that. Cut
I'll
that.
cut that.
Is that my password?
Just say
You
your
can open-
password out loud.
Are we about to see something that's not yet out there, or is it out there? Like exclusive?
I can make it out there. It's fine. That's not the issue. I just had to pull it from.
Yeah, go through all this work and then you're like, can you blur that image? I'll just blur it as you hold it up to the screen.
That was the last
So
thing I was
this
gonna
is
say.
the one part. So it's really hard to see because
Oh, because the
I like
lighting.
it.
Yeah.
It's a rose
Is
inside
Is that
of
a rose?
bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a rose, and then
Like
there's
it.
in the background there's like castles and stuff.
Big
yeah.
Ben. Oh,
Oh,
Super Castle. I love it.
yes.
Looked like a clock
Yeah.
tower. I love it.
It was originally the book title. I mean, the book art was supposed to be this or whatever. But
Oh my
they're putting it
gosh.
on the they're putting it on the inside of it. So
Mm.
Dude, I see my likeness in there, man. Oh, it's just my reflection.
yeah, you're actually in one of my books, Tom.
I thought, I thought
Funnily enough, but you're in the 4th book. It's called Earth.
awesome. Do I get like my head ripped off or get disemboweled?
No, your name is no. I took the spiker though, so it's like a name reference. Yeah, Jordan's in there
You
too with the name
took
reference.
my name,
What?
guys.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
in a
you and
book.
Jordan both. Yeah, you and Jordan both have name references. In it.
And then later in the book, I get like
I get a signed
disemboweled.
copy then, right? My likeness
Huh?
was used. My likeness
Yeah,
was
yeah,
used. I
yeah.
get a
If you
signed
want to
copy.
come get it signed, yeah, you have to come to the
Heck
opening.
yeah, I'll pay for
Yeah,
the whole
everybody can
series.
come to get your signature. You guys can, be like, oh,
Oh.
we're gonna talk about it on the podcast. Come follow our podcast. Yeah. So, cool, so
Like I knew Dorian
Yeah.
before he was famous.
I knew him. I knew him.
we went to the premiere. Now we're watching his films for the podcast. Yeah, there we go. So
Gotta hear first, folks. I'm excited. Oh well,
Yeah.
and if my likeness is used, so you're a better friend. You're a better friend. I have a friend. I'm gonna call him out. I have a friend that works
you
at
don't write
Raven.
books about me.
He was gonna put me in a video game. He designed my name
Oh.
into a video game in one of the Black Ops, Call of Duty games. But it ended up getting scrapped for something else. And I was like, "You're a bad friend. You promised me I'd be in your video game, and I'm not in."
Wait,
it."
is that
Although-
real? Like you mean that? Like
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, this is true. Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
have a friend that works
wild.
at Raven. Yeah. So
Wow.
he was gonna put me in the video game, and it was gonna be Ty Spiker, and it was gonna be at the bar
Yeah.
of the video game that you're in, and they ended
Oh.
up changing the name last minute. and
Jordan
it's
only
like,
talks
oh.
about me to his therapist, so that's cool. Yeah.
It's the only mention I get. Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, that's awesome. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
If my likeness is used, am I a cool character? Because I mentioned if I get killed, that was a joke. But
Yeah,
that's
well, I
okay.
mean, in all my books.
Oh, don't
like,
spoil it either. Yeah, sorry, don't spoil
Yeah,
it. Yeah. I'll
It's
read it.
all the books are about life and death, but no, if you have an actual name in the book and you're not just passing,
I was just gonna find out.
it's a
how
dope
good of-
character.
I was gonna
Yeah.
find out how good of friends we were. It's like Spiker.
Yeah, no,
gets, like,
yeah, there's
disemboweled
a that book has a lot of name likeness because that was
It's
when
like-
we first
It's like The Office when he's like, "What's this dweed?" And he's like the worst character in the book.
This useless
Yeah,
side character.
I'm so happy you
side
know.
thing.
Yeah. yeah.
Useless side
Yeah, but
character.
If
Yeah.
you guys ever move from movies, yeah, I'll send you The Monster Within before it gets published. You guys can read it. It's
What
really
do we need a
short.
book for when we have a television sitting right in front of us?
What's it? I do wanna review S. Craig Zoller's books, so I hope we dip into books. That would be awesome.
Yeah, if you
Is
dip
there
in a book,
pictures in it?
buy me a book. I love reading.
No,
Yeah.
you mentioned an audiobook. I'm a
Yeah,
avid
I'm all for
podcast
that.
audiobook
Audible.
consumer.
Yeah.
Audible, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
So excellent. Well, Dorian, did you make a plug sufficient for your
Yeah.
needs?
Yeah. Just the Instagram. Yeah. I'll send
Well,
the
you can
deets.
jump off anytime you want. Jordan and I are just going to continue
All right.
blabbing on about movies. Bye.
Okay.
All right. I'll see you guys another
See ya.
time. Thanks for inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah, take it easy, Dorian. Can't wait to
We'll
read
see
the
you on
book.
Fortnite later. Sorry. All right. Bye.
Well, thanks for playing games without my knowledge and hanging out.
Dude,
and having
we were
better
talking
times
about
than
this
others.
today. Don't you remember when you guys made me buy a PlayStation and then you never played again? because I
That
remember.
sounds like something Jordan
Made
would
you.
do.
I
Yes,
just
yeah.
told you this is what we play, and then you're
You're
like,
like, yeah, no,
the
we don't
next
play
day.
games without you.
The
And
next
then-
day, we're like, that was
or that
the
same
last
day he
time
went
we
and bought
played.
one.
Yeah. 2000. That was 2012 in June. Yep, I was in Hawaii. Yep.
I love it. That
I remember
sounds
that.
like so. That sounds
Yep,
like
played
it.
two
But
games and then never saw you guys again. It's cool. It's cool. No, I don't hold on to that. Yeah, it's not like a run through my.
I'm gonna read this book, and my character, like I said, gets his head. taken.
Immediately. That's immediately that's the first thing I did. I started writing a book. I was like, wow, I need names for these people who died. Oh,
It's
okay,
like, hey,
okay.
it's Spiker.
Just
Yeah.
It's like the
funnel all
Death
his
Note.
feelings into it. Yeah.
It's the
Alright,
freaking
guys.
Death Note. Take care. Take
Alright.
peace.
Okay.
Take care. Take luck. Take luck and care. All right, Jordan. What have you seen lately? What are you looking forward to seeing?
Most of it's on Letterbox, so actually it's all on Letterbox. Most. Let me see any that I should mention that are of note. Okay, so last week we reviewed City of God. I also watched Blindness, the same director, very good. And then I started The Two Pulps, which I love too. Like, this director's great.
Wait, did you say Pulps or Popes?
The Two Pulps, Popes.
Two Popes. Yeah, it was Anthony Hopkins, right? And
Yeah, you said
yeah.
you saw it, I think, and then said you liked it.
I did, yeah.
Don't spoil. I haven't finished it, but I'm excited.
Well, I wish somebody would have spoiled it and threw away the key. I'll put it that way.
So the
Could've
first,
prevented a crime.
and then rewatched Polka King, Dawn of the Dead, just like all these movies I love. Departed, we reviewed them, and then getting ready to finish David Fincher's movies. Hopefully Ty finishes. Me and Cameron made a bet that Ty will not finish David Fincher's movies because we think
Benjamin Button, Alien 3, and one other one. What was the other one?
Mank. So
And
me
Mank,
and
yeah.
Cameron bet that you're gonna put it up to the last minute, and then you're gonna try, and then you're gonna fall asleep or get bored.
Oh, but I have to rank them all. But I could just rank those are all the worst. of it,
Exactly,
right?
but you need to see them.
I have to see Alien 3 so I can rank it at the bottom. I have to see it to know
You don't have to. I actually love Alien 3, by the way, and I
Really?
actually really like Benjamin Button.
I just worry it kind of feels like I've never seen Godfather 3 because I've heard so many bad things, but I heard like it's a
Godfather
competent
3, you
movie.
mean Alien 3?
No, I meant
Oh,
Godfather 3.
you're saying
Because
it
the
was
first
so
two,
bad.
yeah. So like Alien and Aliens are like some of my favorite movies, and then to think like Alien
But-
3 is gonna be.
But knowing the director and his work, you see
give
a
him
lot of that.
pass. You know, I
No, no,
tried
no.
that with Killers
Not
of
a
the
pass.
Flower Moon. It's Scorsese doesn't get a pass.
Not a pass. No, and I still love Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it's great.
But you notice like Fincherisms or whatever.
Oh, 100%.
Specifically.
And then I can see where the studios
cool.
put their little fingers in it. And so it's just like,
Mm.
you know what? He did everything he could with what he had. So
I believe the director of Donnie Darko says the same thing, but we all know the truth was the studios really
saved him.
the
Yeah.
execs really saved him.
Yeah, they did. I've seen
Like,
his director's
make
cut.
the movie more ambiguous, you weirdo. Don't you understand? I'm the Jesus character. I saved the world.
But I'll save to mention about Promising Young Woman when Cameron gets back on, because he watched that too. I like the ending, which is funny because
Are
he
you
didn't like
following
it.
Cameron's letterbox pretty much? Is
Oh,
that where
I
most
follow
of the
all your
movies-
guys' letterbox. I like
Well,
stalk
I was just
people.
wondering where your watch history is. It or do you? Because I don't think you've seen most of these movies for the first. You've watched it for the first time.
Exactly.
right?
I'm watching for the first time because they've been on my bucket list forever. Cameron's been watching and checking them all off. And so I'm trying to play catch
Keep
up.
Yeah. Oh boy, dude. We'll never keep pace with Cameron. That kid's a
Well,
legend.
I actually have, because I'd say about half the movies I've already seen. So, and then he's also doing TV shows.
That's true.
You
Yeah,
can't do TV shows.
I feel like we do have a more extensive.
Cameron's playing catch up with us. So,
Yeah.
Cameron,
Let's
you've got
be
years
real here.
behind us. Okay.
Yeah. Keep it. Not my tempo.
Not my tempo. What about you, Ty? Oh, and what I'm looking forward to is The Killer, because we're going to be reviewing
Yeah, Michael Fassbender and David Fincher. Yeah,
David Fincher's next film, baby.
So we want to rank all of Fincher's films. I guess it's timely, but to me, I'm like, oh, there's so many other lists of movies that I want to start ranking. Like, I saw on your letterbox, you were putting like top 100 horror movies and top 100 action movies. And so that made me kind of think like, oh yeah, it'd be really cool to like rank different genres and stuff to always have a list on hand of movies that, like I said, like micro budget films and indie movies that I don't want to forget, because there's definitely movies that I would recommend to other people, and I watch it one time, I'm like, dude, I'd watch that movie again, but I just don't think of it, right? Like Blue Ruin's one of them, just love that movie so much.
Oh, I love Blue Ruin. Yeah, and it's
Great
not on
movie.
my top 100. So I'm like, I want
Yeah,
that
but you're
in a
like,
list
it's
that
such a
just
great
says
movie.
like,
Yeah.
this is a hidden gem and people need to
It's
watch
almost
it.
like, yeah, what this movie podcast was titled after. These movies that people don't know about, love these indie films.
That's basically what I wanted to do with this podcast, but it kind of turned into something else, It's no longer hipster. It's
yeah, it would be like mainstream.
now we just review whatever.
Justice League,
Ty's like,
yeah.
oh, whatever's on Netflix. Let's review that Ryan Reynolds movie. That garbage.
The new Ryan Reynolds movie.
Yeah, we reviewed that time traveling one. Oh my gosh, so bad.
Yeah. I'll be honest. A lot of it was like, oh, it's a movie that me and my wife watched this week, and I'm like, that movie.
Oh my gosh, I knew it.
Movie's forgettable. Yeah,
it is. It's faded in time, and it'll never.
Hey, but we're talking about it again on the podcast. So you might say that
we are technically talking about it again. You were right.
Plenty of other movies that we should be talking about. Anyway, I watched The Blob.
I love The Blob.
Gotta say it as fat as I can. Blob.
Blubber.
It's I watched so I saw the Steve McQueen one years ago, 1958, and then I watched The Blob 1988. And holy crap, 30 years later, this movie is like gripping.
And it stands the test of time. Those
That's
practical effects.
Are we gonna get into that more now, or are we doing that on its own? I'm fine doing it on its own.
I do want to do it on its own. I actually told Nick that because Nick wants to actually review it with us. He really likes it.
Oh, has he already seen it, or did he just watch it and liked it?
No, he wants to watch it again.
He wants to watch it again. Okay. Yeah, so a creature feature, great fun. It's got some good scares and some really.
Cameron was hoping he would miss it though. Cameron's like, I don't want to watch it.
No, man, it's great, and he'll be surprised. I mean, like obviously there's things that feel dated, but like for a lot of it, like
I don't know if Cameron will like it. He doesn't like monster movies. He's missing out. Practical effects doesn't matter to him. He's just like he's all about the dark, evil, or he does the really
maybe
light.
If he just thinks of the Blob as like a serial killer, he'd find it more entertaining.
Yeah, good point.
Just like Bogul, I think he would enjoy Sinister if he didn't think of it as supernatural. Because what if it was like, what about a movie that makes you think it's supernatural? See, I See You was a great movie.
And I forgot to mention, we also watched, did I say Panic Room already?
Oh, yeah. Well,
I've
seen that one. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
You guys watched Panic Room? Yeah.
We watched it, yeah. And I love
good movie.
It's so good.
Got the same ending as the Killing. I just remembered that. I always forget about that ending.
Oh, that TV show.
No, that is a TV show, The Killing, right? I was referring to the Stanley Kubrick movie, the bank heist one.
Oh yeah, that one's called Killing too, or Killers.
No, The Killing.
The Killing. Okay.
No. Killing. I think it's The Killing. But
anyway, I don't know.
They made a killing, I think, is what they were referring to. But see, you're like,
also a good one. Yeah.
Well, actually, no, people do die. Spoilers. So after I watched The Blob, I have to pull out my trusty notebook or my letterbox. What else did I review? I think it's just The Blob. Sinister. That's all I have.
Oh, you're right. It is The Killing.
Watching something. What's that?
Probably a TV show with your wife.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like
we're watching Lie to Me.
Lie to Me. I started that a few times. I liked it. I have this weird love-hate relationship with like
Tim Roth.
I've watched all of Psych, and it just feels like any show that has like. I'm like, that's the only.
Oh, it is. It's Monk. It's Psych. Yeah, it's literally, and that's something my wife loves. She loves Monk.
Yeah.
So
and it's very endearing, but part of me is like, if it's more than 3 seasons, that's too much of a commitment. Like I want to be on the ground floor of this. I just looked at.
It has a formula, so you start to see it all.
Yeah, I got anxiety. I just like every time I pass over the Walking Dead, it's like 11 seasons. I was like, how the heck?
I think it's 13 or something now.
It might be. Oh, is it still going on? Because I
know it finally finished.
It finally finished.
Oh, it has a ton of spin-offs.
Coral finally.
Oh my gosh. Daryl has its own spin-off, Fear of the Walking Dead. I think and then they did another one just recently, City of the Dead or something.
Yeah, there's that new one. Well, I mean, 11 seasons, guys. My goodness.
Well, the book series though.
I got as much as Village.
You finished the first 2 compendiums. There's 4, so you just have 2 more to go.
I'm halfway through the story. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's too much.
You should
I've been
read it.
watching all the Red Letter Media stuff, I guess, is more because I've been spending too much time on YouTube. So I go down rabbit holes of listening to like what all the goings on about the new Disney show releases because I don't actually watch them anymore. I just watch YouTubers review
Rip 'em
them because I
apart.
find it more entertaining than the multi-million-dollar
Yeah,
production
you say
that
this like
is
every
Disney.
week. I love it.
But it just blows my mind. Like
Yeah.
what a time to be alive because this isn't a sustainable model, right? I mean, there's still a writer strike going on, and it's gonna like go into next year. Like
What?
this has
No,
been
it's
going on.
ended.
No, the writer
My
strike's
wife
still
told me
going
it
on.
just ended. It's over.
I gotta look this up. I don't believe so.
Oh
And
my
if it
goodness.
is, it's news to me. Oh my gosh, guys, this is just hot off the presses. It ended 3 days ago.
I told you.
Guys, the writer strike just ended 3 days ago. Now we can get back to our subpar entertainment and listen to the stories where they deconstruct our heroes and promote the Shiro's journey and point at you and laugh at you and hate you and scorn you for being a consumer, even though we fund their jobs. So I don't know. It's a weird world we live in. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm just amazed, like I said, with how much money they're burning. And if I had stock, actually I do have stock. I should be able to sue Disney for how much my stock in Disney dropped. But I actually bought it kind of as like a view. So I own 1 or 2 shares of Disney, and I'm like, there you go. Now I have a vetted interest in this company, and I'm watching it burn, and I'm roasting marshmallows on its freaking fiery demise. So it's amazing. It's just a wild time to be alive. But anyway, other than that, yeah, because like Ahsoka, I literally had this conversation with my mother-in-law, and she's like, "You guys watching the new Ahsoka?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know that was on Netflix." And I'm like, "Is it good?" And she's like, "Well," she didn't say yes right away, and I was like, "Why are you watching it then? Like, what's the point of all this stuff? Like, I know it's a Jedi and it's
It's just
Star
to pass the
Wars.
time, I guess. I don't know.
I just feel like we could hang ourselves or we could watch Ahsoka. Why don't we hang ourselves?"
Jim Gaffigan, yeah.
I know, right? But I'd rather just hang my. I don't know. Anyway, funny. I'm very interested. One last thing I wanted to mention here.
Yeah.
So the whole Snow White thing.
Oh my gosh, not this again.
No. Well, I don't know if I mentioned this. So like the Daily Wire, the guys that do the conservative podcast radio show, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Andrew Clavin, Michael Knowles, all those guys. I think Jordan Peterson's part of it now too. Anyway, they're making their own Snow White movie, and it's like it's really funny, like almost comical. At the very end, you see Snow White, and she turns at the camera, and it's like a white chick, which almost seems like almost like an SNL skit. Like
Sounds
it's
like
almost
it.
yeah, but no, like they're really making this movie, and he did an interview with the Critical Drinker, Ben Shapiro did, and he was just talking about like how there's like a complete vacancy for just movies that honor tradition and tell the stories as we remember them and like have some inkling and respect for the source material. I mean, Snow White is the movie that put Disney on the map. It's their first full-length feature animated film, and it made them into a household name. Then you had movies like Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, like all these things, like a renaissance, right? The Disney Renaissance. It's just so funny, like Rachel Ziegler and Gal Gadot just going out there and just taking a steaming dump all over it, like, oh, this stupid movie and it's so outdated, and you're like, yo, like this
I grew
movie,
up on.
like, yeah, this is your chance to play a Disney princess. I would be thrilled if I were a woman. In fact, as a man, I'd be thrilled to play Snow White or any Disney princess for that matter.
It's
Like, what an opportunity!
I
How
just
many
watched
women
I
would jump at the
rewatched
opportunity?
Mega Man, and I love that
Mega
they're just
Man.
poking fun. Mega Mind, sorry.
Oh, Megamind, yeah.
Yeah, and I love how they're poking fun at superhero movies. I just thought like DreamWorks is so awesome. They still make really great content. Did they do the Puss in Boots, or is that Sony? I think that was Sony.
That's a good question. I'm sure it's still DreamWorks because they're the ones that
DreamWorks.
own Shrek,
They
right?
own Shrek, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
they probably have a hand in it.
because yeah, Shrek also, I love how they're just poking fun at Disney. That's some great
Yeah.
stuff. But any last thoughts, Ty, before we go on more Disney tangents?
Oh, so I just found that funny because like last thing
Oh
I'll
no,
say
I brought
about
it
it.
up again.
No. Well, if you're bored, it's a movie podcast. Where else am I supposed to talk about this stuff?
Well, you can vent to me about it. We don't need to vent
Oh,
about it
I
on the
don't want to
pod.
be venting.
Oh, okay.
So I'm mentioning the fact that I think it's interesting that you have
Well,
like
because I'm just saying all those YouTubers, I've listened to those
Yeah.
YouTubers, and all they do is get me riled up and angry, and like that's not what I want
okay.
this to be.
Okay, so I'll put it on a positive note. I think it's cool that there are people that are like, hey, consumer, like Hollywood is dying, if not dead. I mean, it's literally burning cash hand over hand, hand over fist. They're just throwing it into the fire right now, right? They've lost money. Like, I think, what is it? The Marvels
Streaming is
supposed to
basically
release?
where everything's going. Yeah.
True, but like even streaming shows are garbage. No one's watching them. Like you can't, like,
They are
Loki 2.
garbage.
I started watching Loki season 2 because I kind of
I
enjoyed the
couldn't
first one.
even. That was.
Oh yeah, I like Owen Wilson so much. I'm like, and I like Tom Hiddleston, and I'm like, they're just sitting around talking, and I get it because, like, budgetary wise, like, I get what they're doing, trying to just make more shows about the feelings, and I'm fine with it. If like your story, it's like these are superhero stories, and it's like we're just sitting here eating key lime pie and talking, and I'm like, it literally is the joke at the end of the first Avengers movie where they're all eating shawarma at that restaurant, like in the
Yeah.
destroyed city of New York. That was the joke. It's like, oh, it's funny to see superheroes doing something mundane. And now it's like, that's the norm, which is so weird. And that's just like the weird clown world we live in nowadays. So anyway, I just thought that was really interesting. And so to see someone like Daily Wire, who's like a conservative podcast show, is making like their own movie, and I'm like, even if the movie's crap, I still think it's cool that, like, already I'm almost like they seem to have a lot of reverence and respect for the story. And I think that a lot of people resonate with that. So even if the movie's like not all that competent or even good, it comes from a place of appreciation and love. And I think that will carry it a lot further than like the
Yes, I do agree
millions
with
of
that.
dollars
I
that
like you
Disney.
mentioning that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They totally
And so
don't
I
respect
want
the
to have a
material.
sense of appreciation for you, Jordan. Thank you for making this podcast a reality. And all you listeners, I hope you love all the hard work that goes into this stuff. So, but we love you, listeners, and go out there, stay safe, and avoid Disney. Do not go anywhere near them. Don't give them your money.
Even though
folks.
everybody has a subscription to them because they got kids.
I don't pay for mine, so I'm off the hook. I do enjoy pirated versions of their films and their content. And we all know that we're all tuning in not to watch Loki season 2 because we're not going to finish it. I'll tell you that much. Never going to watch Ahsoka and Book of Boba Fett. All this stuff done. But I will mooch off all their good old stuff. Pocahontas, Cinderella, Snow
I've been
White,
just
all the
rewatching all my
classics.
favorite old
Great
stuff.
movies.
It's so funny.
Great
Like on my letterbox, you'll see any new movies. It's all like 1 star, 1 star, 1 star. And then I'll watch an old movie. It's like 5 star, back
And
to
you're like,
1 star, 1
movies were
star.
so good. Yeah, what happened to the golden age of cinema, right? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But then I watched The Blob, and I was like, hey, that's a pretty old movie. Again, proving my point. But it's like, yeah, you watch these old movies, and you're like, these were great.
These are great.
They
Yeah.
have a whole catalog. So if they keep producing trash, there's people that are going to rise to the occasion, and they're going to make movies of their own that are still compelling and really bite. And I think it feels like the end of an era where like old Hollywood is like, we're done now because like we can't keep the sustainable model.
I have everybody tie at work like recommending different movies and shows. They're like, have you seen this? Have you? Because they know I like movies.
You
and
have
then
to have an
I look
Apple
it up
subscription.
and I look it all up and it's like everything is like 5 star, 5 out of 10 on IMDb, like everything. They're just like, oh, the show's 5 out of 10. This movie's 5 out of 10. I'm like, why would I waste my time on a mediocre movie? Like, just like, I'd rather go back and just watch movies that are all.
Mind you, Jordan is sitting here with like his favorite director is Zack Snyder. So I just
He is not.
Why would I waste my time on a mediocre movie? Jordan?
He's not even top 10 directors. Get out of here.
Oh, is he not? Wait, I thought he was. Does Zack Snyder
No.
didn't make your list?
No.
I maybe just favorite movies. I know Dawn of the Dead is up there.
If I did a
so
top 100 directors, maybe.
He made one of your top 10 favorite movies of all time. So
Yeah, that's
funny.
different. No, he's not in my top 10 anymore. It dropped out. It's top 20.
Oh, the Dawn of the Dead? What replaced it?
Well, it moved down all the way down to like 20 something.
Has rewatching it at all changed that, or is just new movies coming in and taking the spot?
I've seen it like bazillion times, so I'm just like, I'm just, and also because as the older I get, there's just different films I like more.
I hear that. Yeah, your life changed, dude. That's an interesting topic for another podcast. I won't get into that, but like as you get older, like you start resonating with different characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like slower films. Like I'm so excited. Next week we're gonna talk about Reptile.
Benjamin Button.
No.
Oh, Reptile, dude. Justin Timberlake and Benicio del Toro. I saw that, and I was
Have you seen it yet?
No, not yet.
But
saw
you're going to,
Netflix
because we're gonna review it
with my Netflix subscription that I'm not paying for. By the way, just want that very clear on the podcast. I do not pay for my Netflix.
Don't give them ideas. Then they're gonna be like, if they're gonna knock it down to one person per account.
Yeah, because the heads, Jeff Bezos and whoever's the head of Netflix listens to this podcast. You're right.
I'm just saying they hear everything. That with this big like mind control head. Didn't you see South Park?
Oh yeah, the pander, or no, that is the most recent, the Pander Stone, or what, Kathleen Kennedy.
No, I was
Put
talking
a
about an
chick
old
in it.
episode.
Put a chick in it and make her and lame. What's wrong with being gay? I am gay. I just love it. I love it, folks. Guys, it's been Futro Hidden Movie Gems. We love you very much. This is Futro Hidden Movie Gems signing out. Peace.
Peace.
Wish I had a quote for Sinister.